It's the Polynation broadcast. Well, I'm gonna save that for a second. Hang on. I'm gonna save that. Oh, I ruined it. That was supposed to be a surprise. Anywho, today we have a guest on Psychedelic Sunday, and I bent the rules a little bit for today, because of course you bend the rules for a guest. That's what you do. Today's guest is a kind of a longtime friend now. I think I can't even remember when we met. But anyways, very intelligent, a longtime friend, a mentor, and happens to be the architect, I like to say, of the GroundZeroPlus.com platform. Today's guest, ladies and gentlemen, is Chris France from the UK, the architect himself.
Howdy.
How's it going, Chris?
Good. You hear me okay?
Yeah, it's a little crackly, but you're on the other side of the pond, so that's to be expected.
Maybe that's just my voice. I don't know.
So how's it going, brother?
Compared to what, or
Compared to what?
compared to what I should be, I'm doing great. You know,
Okay.
I should be long gone a long time ago, but I'm still here, so I'm trying to make the best I can with what time I have. So.
Well, okay, that segues perfectly into what I wanted to ask you first, because what I really want to do for the first little bit of the interview here is just give people an idea of who you are and how you got to where you are, and what you just said. What you just said, like you're not supposed to be here, I think is gonna, like, why are you not supposed to be here? Let's start like from the very beginning. Like, where'd you grow up?
Well, I was born in Scotland in 1958, right?
Aye, laddie.
My mother and father were not married, and so that was a big issue for my mom. And she should never have had children anyway. The reason she had me is because she had a way of surviving by sleeping with men and getting pregnant, and then having the state look after her, right? With Social Security, the benefit programs and stuff like that they have for single women. And in the day, the doctors would tell the girls not to keep the children, to adopt them out, right, to a good family that's stable, because my mom certainly wasn't that stable, to keep me. Now, my real father, right, he was in the Royal Navy, and he was stationed in Edinburgh at the submarine base there, and he and my mom met, and of course they had me a couple of years later, and then he took off when I was 3 years old and never came back home, right, and never saw him again. And what had happened, he got stationed in Plymouth, down here along the southwestern coast, and my mom never chased him or went after him, or he never made arrangements for her. I don't know what happened. I kind of have a clue, but I really don't know what really happened there. But she ended up giving me up, right? She gave me up to the state, and I went into an orphanage at 3 years old. And I ended up living in a really, really nice place with about 40 other children, and had a great time. It was, when I think of the word happiness, I think of that time, right? When I was 3, 4, 5 years old, living with all those kids. And because I was the youngest one there, and I was treated really good, and I had fun. And then all of a sudden, when I was 6, a big London taxi showed up, and it was my mom, and she had a man with her, and she told me that this is your new daddy, and I said, no, he's not.
Right.
And that started my relationship with my stepdad, which turned out to be shit for a long time. But today it's a good relationship. But for a long time in my life, I had a kind of a bad time at it, because when I went to America, I was a little bit different than the other kids. Right? I had already been in school, because I started school at the age of 4, and
did you have a wee Scottish accent in your high school?
I did, and I was. My mom sent me to a speech therapist to get rid of my Scottish twang, because she thought the children would tease me, right? And the kids thought it was cool.
Can you still do it?
Nah, A
No.
little bit. When I'm around people that speak Scottish, I can do it, but
Right. Okay.
not off the cuff. No. Um, it's, I'd like to do it. I'd like to learn how to speak it, and to learn the language, the ancient languages. Those are cool.
Yeah,
I'd
they
love
are.
to be
They
able,
are very cool.
love to be able to speak like a pig.
How do you like? Did you have to go to like speech therapy? Because
Yeah,
I remember when like the first like Siri voice recognition technology came out, it couldn't understand my dad, and he has like kind of a hybrid accent, Scottish and Canadian. And so
yeah.
like how do you get rid of that?
They don't. Well, I don't know. I was young enough to where I could learn different, right? And so the teacher taught me. I had all these words I had to say, and I had to say them the way she wanted me to say them instead of the way I was saying them,
Right.
right? And then eventually I got learned out of it. But I've lived in so many different places and been around so many accents in America. I can almost tell where somebody's from just by listening to them, right? Um, but what happened was, I was my dad ended up being he was the one of the top computer scientists in America for what he did, and he ended up working for corporations that were contracted with NORAD and NASA and Department of Defense and stuff like that. And
This is your biological dad or your stepdad?
my stepfather, yeah, the
Okay.
guy my mom showed up with in the taxi,
Right. Okay.
yeah. And looking back at it now, he ended up being, he's a really solid guy, right? Um, he's passed like I don't know how many years of FBI checks, right? I was at risk in my bad behavior. I was at risk of ruining his security clearance for doing government work.
Oh, your bad
Because I was
behavior, eh?
committing felonies, yeah, because I was committing felonies, and
Okay,
that was a
let's.
problem for the FBI and the DEA, right? They warned me about it. So
Okay, so
um,
how old were you when you moved to the U.S.?
we were 6 years old,
Okay.
and um, I've almost been here 6 years now. I think I got here 2019, right?
So you lived in
But
the U.S. like your whole life up until 2019?
yeah, we moved to Pittsburgh first, and then we ended up going to uh, California, and then back to Philadelphia, and then out to Colorado, and then back to California, and then back to Colorado, and then down into Texas, and then. But in all that time, I never felt right. I just something was wrong with me, and
So like
I
why
knew
did you
I
move
knew
around so
something was
much?
wrong with me at the age of about 7 or 8 years old. I knew something was wrong.
What what was making you move around so much? Was it because of your father's work?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, he was
uh,
getting different positions, different
okay.
places.
Okay, and so that led that's kind of a very unstable environment, and that led
Yeah, I
to.
mean, it was like a real paradox because I was living in an lower upper class neighborhood, right, or upper class neighborhood, and around these millionaire kids. And my mom wanted to act like a queen and be like a queen, right? And she had to always have the best stuff, and she did. And but the problem was when I went into other people's houses as a kid, I would see how their families operated and feel the love in the house for the other families that they had showed with their mom and dads and their families, their brothers and sisters. And I'd go home and I didn't feel none of that, right?
Right.
It's like living with Mr. Spock was my stepdad, just logic, computer science, right? He wrote computer language, right? That we all operate the internet on today. He was working on AI in the late 60s.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that actually because you mentioned that in a chat room recently, and I was like, "What? From the '60s?" And then I
Yeah.
thought about like, what? Okay, but let's like redefine what AI actually means in the '60s. Isn't it really just like like a bunch of problems that you need solved, and you just
Well,
design software to solve those problems in a certain order?
I remember in the 60s, a lot of stuff was still analog, right?
Right.
And most everything was tape drive, right? They started coming out with laser discs early on, right? And they were some of the supercomputers were being used. The one in the NORAD supercomputer was being used for this. And the problem it was when they first demonstrated for the Senate subcommittee that came out to NORAD, they turned it on and they started asking it questions, and it would cuss, right? It would say bad words because it didn't know the difference between a good word and a bad word because none of the engineers had taught it that, right? So, but it was like a learning. It was like a if you took Chat GPT and put it in kindergarten, kind of like that, right?
Right.
Very, very basic stuff. It would do basic commands.
So, like growing up, were you ever exposed to anything that your dad was working on?
Yeah, I saw it every day. I saw it, heard his conversations, and saw the computer sheets, and all that kind of stuff. Saw his.
Were you interested in that kind of stuff at that age, or?
Well, not really. I was kind of paranoid of it because
Right.
I knew what it was doing. Right. I knew that every since they've turned the internet on, made it public for everyone, every single keystroke you've ever said or ever typed out has been recorded somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and they have all that information. That's what the great AI works out of is data, right? So they collect data, and even though they didn't know how to use the data, they still collected it, and you know it's so big that no one knows what it is. Is how big it is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. The amount of data out there is just it's like more. I think it's more than the amount of stars or something.
That's how they do it. That's how they do forensic investigations. Is they collect all the data. Then when something happens, they narrow it down and go try to find it in the big pile of data. It's like finding a needle in a haystack kind of thing, right?
That's made of needles. A haystack made of needles. Yeah. That's
Microchips.
yeah. Okay. So you basically grew up in the United States then.
Yeah, and I knew. I started feeling like something was wrong with something, and
And when you say that you feel like something was wrong, that happened around like what you're saying? I think around 8 years
7, 8 years old, when I started getting exposed to other people's families.
So what was it that you thought was wrong?
That their moms loved them,
Oh, just the difference between their family dynamic and yours.
and I guess it was the way that the mothers loved them, like
Oh, right.
the compassion that was there. It wasn't this cold, stern, strict mother-father figure, right? It was this loving, caring, compassionate
Right.
woman who looked at children, right?
And so
And
did that drive you away? Like, did you leave home at an early age?
well, I started psychologically, I left a couple years later when I took my first drink, right? I was only uh, 11 years old. Yeah.
And
And,
that was for escapism, I'm assuming.
well, I was pretty lonely up until that time. I kind of shyish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw there were always, when I started school, I noticed there were these kind of troublemaker kids, right? And they'd always run across the road at school during lunchtime and go up into the creek bed and go up underneath this little bridge. And so one day I followed them over there, and they were sipping on a bottle of Jack Daniels and smoking a joint. And
At
they passed
11
it-
years old?
yeah, they passed it to me, and they were sipping on the whiskey bottle, right? Sipping it. I looked at that whiskey bottle, and it was about half full. I took about 3 big gulps, and they started laughing, right? Because they knew I was going to get really drunk, and I did get really drunk.
Yep, you would. At
Yeah,
that
I got
age.
really drunk that day. I blacked out my first day. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
but by the time I was 13 years old, I was a full-blown alcoholic. I drank every day,
Really?
and I would use anytime. I was I went from being zero to 100 in just a split second. Right, there was no enjoyable time that I had fun with my drinking and drugging. It was just going from nothingness to everything in a heartbeat.
So drinking led to using, and what do you mean by using?
Well, I started, I smoked pot, and I started doing cocaine and LSD and speed and PCP if it was around. You do mushrooms,
Renaissance. A Renaissance
lots of
user.
LSD. When,
I said,
throughout my whole time, and from junior high to high school, I probably took 3,000 hits of acid.
oh my goodness.
It was the old school stuff, not the new stuff from today, but
Yeah, it
this
was
is the
less.
window pane and orange barrel and orange sunshine.
Yeah, you guys made good LSD back then. I got to admit.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
it's
Not
from the
condoning that.
originators, right?
Just saying, for people listening out there, I'm not suggesting that LSD is good for people, other than
Yeah,
the
well,
fact that it's helping people with PTSD
yeah,
and all kinds of
it,
other
it,
things.
it mainly came out of the universities, right? That's where it was coming from. It wasn't coming from underground laboratories like today's drugs.
Right,
It was actually being made in chemical labs, right? And
right.
that were
Okay, so
being
like
tested. There was,
with okay, I want to ask, did this kind of reliance, or becoming an alcoholic at 13 and starting to use, did that mean that you just kind of didn't go to school, or did you go to school? Were you able to still function
I
in
went to school to socialize and not be lonely, and I didn't want to be at home, so that's primarily why I went. I didn't go to learn.
did
I
you
didn't think school
okay,
was necessary, but um, I didn't do any homework. I didn't take books home. I do. I wouldn't do homework, so but I would do the final exams of the year, and I'd get A's on the final exams, and then they'd have to give me a C minus or a D and pass me, right?
right?
So, but the classes I did like, I got A's in, right? But
What
some
was
of
the
the stuff,
difference? What was the difference between the classes you did like and the ones you didn't?
well, the one I did like was sociology, and a little bit of psychology. But the ones I didn't like were things like calculus, algebra, trigonometry. I like geometry; that was cool. But the logic stuff I didn't really like that much. Learning, I had to.
Do you think maybe you
I was
inherited
trying to
that
learn
from
how
your
to.
mother?
I wanted to learn how to be happy, and learn how to feel okay. I didn't want to learn how to add up a bunch of numbers, right?
Right.
Or sit behind a desk, and
A genetic aversion to logic.
yeah. But I'm a do it right now kind of guy, right?
I get you. We're the same in many respects.
I don't need to think about it. Yeah, but today I respect logic. My father he's a genius. He's a member of Mensa, and my stepdad.
Right.
Uh, he was a chess master. Master chess player.
Do you play
He
chess?
still is. He plays Chinese Go, right? That game Go, which is really cool.
Do you play chess?
Hmm. Yeah, I can.
Okay. Just do you ever I don't know, play strangers online at chess or anything
Some,
like that?
no, not much.
It
I
takes too
don't play
long to
because
play chess.
my dad never let me win a game ever.
Yeah. Same with my dad.
He beat the shit out of me every
I've only beat him once. Still, to this day, he still kicks my ass to this day.
Yeah.
And
So, there I was, Paul. I was 13 years old walking down the street one day after a bad night drinking, saying to myself, my life is over at 13.
Hmm.
And then I sobered up in 1995, and I couldn't remember 12 years of my life were gone to blackout. I knew bits and pieces, but really had no full memory. And then from 95 to 2009, I struggled in and out of sobriety and trouble, and I managed to get arrested 49 times. I had 13 drunk driving charges.
what were you doing for a living at this time?
I've been things like we did custom van renovations or vans. I've done electronics in cars, CB radios, stereo systems.
Dude,
I
you just said sorry, I gotta stop you here. You just said custom
started,
van renovations?
yeah, custom vans like
Y-
from the 70s, 80s. The cool ones, shack carpeting and all that.
Yeah, like you could build a radio station inside of a van that I could drive around?
Yeah, you could do that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's what
today.
I want.
That'd be cool to do over here.
I'm gonna start a GoFundMe for that.
Yeah, Polly on wheels.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just drive around state to state.
It'd be like Johnny Appleseed and actually scatter seeds along the highway.
Yeah, exactly. Polly Appleseed.
Polly Appleseed.
That sounds
Yeah.
hilarious. But kind of seriously, that's really cool. I didn't know you did that kind of stuff. I kind of thought you were a
I'm full
computer
blown
geek.
mechanic, right? I'm a car mechanic. Build houses, done concrete work, dug ditches. I was a electrician, commercial electrician. Um,
Wow, so many things.
Farming work. I've done mortgage brokering,
What was your favorite thing that you did?
some commodities. My favorite thing is Ground Zero Plus.
Right on. That segues perfectly
I've been
into.
working on all my life. You know, this is actually what I was born for and made for. Was to that was my one thing to do in my whole life was
Yeah,
to help Clyde, and so
that's so perfect because I want to get into that, but first I want to let's take the next like 8 or 9 minutes to
sure.
explain to people how did because you've done so many things before this, and
Yeah.
now all of a sudden you're like what I don't know if architect is the right word, but that's what I always call you, um,
Mhm.
for a
Well,
website.
we actually have our own cloud architect. That's Simon down in Australia.
Cool. We'll save that. But what I want to get into first is what led you into this? Like how did you end up from going so like I mean, you just listed like almost a dozen things that you've done for a living. How did you land in a situation where you're running a website for, Clyde Lewis and
Well, well, when I sobered up in 2009, I'd already been diagnosed with peripheral arterial disease. I was like 40, 50 years old. Um, I'd already had surgery and I already knew how serious it was. So I had to find a work that I wasn't physically put to stress, like electrician work. My last electrician job, I had to carry pipe and stuff up ladders and do all kinds of physical work. But when I sobered up, I noticed that these sober homes I lived in, they had some of them had websites, social media. Um, there was a bunch of we were building some an educational type thing for AA, right? A learning website, and I just started learning, and then I started helping people on. We were actually building a website that would help people with alcoholism, and I was living in a sober home in Houston, working as a program coordinator, and this was in 2015, and um, for the first 8 years of my sobriety, I lived in sober living environments, right? Recovery residences.
yeah.
I was a patient for 1 year, and then from that point on, I was like a manager, assistant manager, blah blah blah. Whatever could do to help out and live for free, right? Because I really couldn't. I was unemployable, um, totally unemployable at 2009, right?
Right.
I was trying to plead guilty to go to prison for life on a 25-year habitual criminal charge in Texas, and the judge didn't accept the guilty plea. That's how I ended up in a sober home again, right?
The
He gave
judge
me a
didn't accept the
three-year
guilty plea.
felony probation. Huh?
So wait, the judge didn't accept the guilty plea because he thought you were just trying to milk the system for a place to stay.
No, he no that somehow he knew about me. Um, my public defender that I didn't know had 26 years sobriety and knew me. He knew me from AA, right? From AA meetings.
Okay.
And he heard me speak when I was sober. I was a real Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. When I was clean and sober, I was a good guy. When I was using, I was way worse than Hunter Biden. So,
That's a good analogy. We should just leave that there, I think, because
yeah,
I want this show to be
that's
positive.
another story.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been through the ringer basically, and um, you
Couple of
find
them.
a couple of them exactly. You've been through the wash cycle a few times. I do have to say though, one of the reasons why I played Sharp Dressed Man earlier is because you always wear the most coolest hats that I've ever seen.
Stetson hats. Yeah, I only
Yeah.
wear Stetson.
He only wears
Real cowboys
Stetsons.
only wear Stetson.
Yeah, that's
Um,
hilarious. And
so I was in the sober home helping out the website, and a friend of mine that I'd met online in Facebook was working on a heroin website in Illinois, I think, and he had a sobriety radio station on air, right, internet radio, and he knew a guy here in England that was doing something that was very similar to what I was doing, and he introduced us to each other, and his name was Adam, and he's actually the designer of Ground Zero Plus.
okay,
He's the graphics artist behind the look and styling and all that.
shout out to Adam.
Yeah, he's but he stays behind the curtain quite a bit. He's not a public guy. He doesn't like that. But he is. I wouldn't be sitting here in England without his help because he ended up being kind of a person like an older brother, right?
Right.
Or a younger brother. And this dude knows his stuff. He's definitely one of the best out there. And we got to talking, and we got to building websites for sober homes in California, Colorado, Denver, Colorado, Colorado Springs, on the East Coast with New Hampshire, Maryland, Baltimore, Virginia. We started doing a lot of work, and I was making good enough money that I even decided to move out of the sober living homes and into my own place over in Santa Barbara, California. And I moved for the first time in my life. I made a move. I was 55, 54, something like that, and I moved to California and lived there for a couple of years in a two-bedroom, well, not a two-bedroom, a two-car garage that had been converted into a studio. And that's where Adam and I built up what we called SoberWorks, which is a old website I had. It was mainly for me to kind of network through this recovery community and introduce myself to people, and then see if I could help them building websites. And we did quite a bit, and we did so good. But Adam knew I was kind of in trouble because I had my health problems, and I was pretty much all alone, right?
Right.
And he knew I was born in Scotland, and he knew I had a Scottish birth certificate, and he knew my name was different on that birth certificate. So he asked me what my real name was. I told him. He put it in the government computer over here in England, and boom, it spit out that I was still a UK citizen.
Of course,
I had
yeah.
always been a UK citizen. And then I was eligible for passport. And we ordered the passport, and this was on Christmas Eve, 2018. We ordered the passport, did all that stuff, and within 2 weeks I had my passport, and at the end of the month in January I got on a plane. I gave away everything I owned in California and jumped on a plane and came here.
Wow, so that was 2019?
19, yeah. Right before COVID.
Right before the... Good job, man. Like, talk about timing. Because California was like one of the worst places to be during that.
Well, the same year I left, about a month before I left, Polly, we had a fire. And I swear to God, the flames were 200 feet in the air, about a block and a half away from my house.
Wow.
My house was so hot, the olives were bursting on fire in my olive tree.
Holy shit. That's insane. So, okay, now that you're in the UK, we're gonna pause here because I want to talk about some music too for a second here. Just
but real quick, back in my early days of my addiction, I always listened to Clyde Lewis. I always listened to Ground Zero. It was everywhere I went.
Wow.
And I used it as a thing. It was like sometimes it was the only good thing in my life, because I knew that at that time of night I'm going to be listening to Ground Zero.
Wow.
And I'm talking about in the middle of my addiction, shooting cocaine. I was a junkie, Paulie. I was not a casual user. I was the heaviest of users.
Damn.
I was using in the throes of my addiction. I was using 2-3 grams of cocaine a day intravenously.
That's not cheap, man.
No, so I have to do a lot of manipulating of my time and effort to keep my addiction going, right?
Wow.
I did a lot of tools for Snap-on and Mac tools, and I drove up my credit quite a bit, and I took a lot of those tools to the pawn shop.
Right.
And it went from the pawn shop into my pocket and then into my arm. And it took about 2 years. I got rid of about $150,000 worth of tools.
Oh my goodness.
But that's what financed my drug habit, was the tool box. And,
Wow.
of course, I ended up not being able to work. That was in 1992. I don't know, back in the 90s.
I mean, part of me is thinking that we should employ drug addicts instead of giving them drugs, make them addicted to profit or something like that, or like innovation or like something a little bit more useful to the rest of society, and they would get it
we
done.
Really can't do, Paulie. There's not much we can do for drug addicts in this world. It's something that the man upstairs has to do for you. You can't do it by yourself.
Well said.
Addiction's got such a grip on people that it's like being possessed, right? Like being in the middle of a satanic possession, some demon inside of you, and you know it's there, right? And it's like being a conscious schizophrenic, right? You're a schizophrenic and you know it, and you know the other side, how bad it is, but you can't do anything to stop it.
Yeah, because when you're an addict, you're friends with the demon.
There's no consequences, People's skin is rotting off their arms and they're still using, right?
Yeah.
All their teeth are falling out and they're still smoking meth. They're whoring themselves for sex, and it gets bad out there, folks. And it's it's pretty nasty, and that's the kind of thing I went through, and I survived it.
You came out, yeah. Maybe
on January 11th, it'll be 17 years. So
that's amazing, man. Thank God for one, and congratulations for two.
So Clyde and Ron, I've known the guys forever, and they knew I was out there. I started calling the show in 2005. I don't know, a long time ago, and when I moved here to England, Ron knew what I'd moved over here, and he knew that I built websites and stuff like that. And I offered to help out even before Aftermath was a thing. I said, "Hey, man, I'll help you guys." And, I didn't get that gig, so Aftermath got it, and then that went through two renditions of Aftermath, and then in February this year, when it went down, I was the first guy Ron called, and I said, "No problem, Ron, I'll take care of it," and I did. So
you sure did.
Now today we have our own servers, we have our own email server, we have our own streaming server for the video stuff. I'm just waiting to get the equipment in the studio configured.
So yeah, I want to talk more in depth about like what's going on with the Ground Zero website, like maybe some of the technical stuff that I don't want to get like too crazy technical and bore people to death.
There's a lot going on with it,
but yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that would be interesting to discuss, so that people can just get an idea of how much work it actually takes to run a site like GroundZeroPlus.com. And also, okay, because I always ask my guests when they come on the show to pick some music, and I asked you to pick some music, and I've got like 2 songs. We're going to do a double shot of 2 of your songs that you... One of them...
A cup of coffee right there.
Yeah, one of them is Home by the Sea by Genesis. That one is because you now live in a home by the sea.
Home by the sea.
All right.
I look out my window every day and play that song.
And the other one is Diary of a Madman.
My scooter in town, listen to that in my headset.
Oh, right on. The other one is Diary of a Madman by Ozzy Osbourne. I'd actually never heard that song before, so I listened to it when he sent it to me. And I'm going to play that after because it's awesome. The lyrics are amazing. It kind of... I think it reminds you of that time in your life when you were lost.
It's kind of a theme song.
Right, but before we get into any of those, I have a surprise for you. Because we're Scottish brethren, I had to play it, dude. I'm sorry. I had to do it. This is Scottish Soldier.
Now, right?
I'm going to make you cry, dude. Right now, okay? We'll be right back after some tunes. This is the Polynation Broadcast. We're here with Chris France, the architect of GroundZeroPlus.com. Here's Scottish Soldier by the pipes and drums of Lianich. Talking about, I mean, some of the reasons why he shouldn't be here, and he is, and we praise God and thank him for that, that he is still here, because he's built one of the greatest websites in alternative media, in my opinion. You actually got to see the last performance that Ozzy Osbourne tribute performance.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you were there. Well, not there, but like pay-per-view type thing. You saw it live as it happened.
Yeah, the big event here in England was a big deal.
Yeah, what was that like?
It was kind of like Charlie Kirk in America. It was the same kind of feeling, right?
Yeah.
It was a very dedicated feeling towards him as a man and as a person, and a rock star, right? And everybody, here in England, people have a different relationship to the music that they do in America.
Yeah, okay. Can we get into that a little bit before we start talking more about the Ground Zero Plus website? The difference between how people consume and appreciate music in the UK compared to America would, I think, be a fascinating thing for people to wrap their heads around.
Yeah, and it's mainly due to the fact that when you're growing up in England, one of the things you do is after work you go out to the pub with your mates and have a pint, right?
Right.
And just by doing that, you're going to be around a bunch of people, and at these pubs they all play music, and sometimes there'll be a busker in there playing, or a band, and it's a lot of musicians in England still, and always has been, and music still's taught in schools and colleges over here, so it hasn't been corrupted like a lot of other educational stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the way that you're brought up, right? And the things that you learn as a young person, you're exposed to it more, right? And it's a long tradition here to sing, right?
Right.
In the culture itself, you don't know where you'll be at. People just start singing.
Well, I'm working on a new theory. It's still in its infancy, but I want to propose, or at least hypothesize, that music is the oldest form of data encryption.
Yeah, well, before we learned how to speak, we knew how to go.
Right.
And then the girls, they had different voices than we had. They squealed a little bit differently.
Exactly.
I mean, it sounds much the same as when they squeal today, but it didn't have any words attached to it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That sounds bad, doesn't it? People be calling me misogynistic now. Well, that's cool.
Oh, whatever. I'm
all the isms and I'm all the things, right?
Even I'm nice to misogynistic people. It's okay. You don't have to worry about that here.
I hate everybody.
I hate
the world. The world is beyond repair, and I'm just sitting in this body until my next rendition, right? And
right.
Hopefully, from now until the time I have left, and I go back, I'll be making a report on the Earth when I get there, telling them how fucked up it is. Because
you'll definitely
we're not supposed to be living like this. We weren't designed and created to live the way we're living right now.
Exactly. I mean, when I leave this plane, I'm definitely going to be dropping some comments in the suggestion box on my way out.
We've been corrupted by mankind's invention, religion. Right? Religion is not a God thing. It's not. Because when you're on the other side, Polly, it doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't. I've been there. And believe me, it doesn't matter at all. Not much matters on the other side compared to what we've been told. Right? It's a little bit different than what people have been told.
Right.
And I drove a car up a mountain when I was 19 years old, doing about 110 mile an hour. And The car ended up hitting a telephone pole about 20 feet in the air. That's what stopped it going over another cliff, right? And I walked away from that. But I had an out of body afterlife experience. I don't call it near death because we really don't die, right? We go from one form to the next form.
I
And
believe
it's
that
real
too.
simple. It's just like watching water evaporate off an ice cube,
Hmm.
right? Or an ice cube melting. It's like I call it, like we're a drop of water and we're being dropped back into the sea. We become one again with our where
That's
we
a
come from.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy, actually. That I've never looked at it that way specifically, but it works
See, we're only one step away from where we come from originally. Originally, we don't have bodies, right? We don't.
because we don't need them.
No, we
Right.
don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Spirit world, there's no physicality in the spirit world. I mean,
We're on the same
uh,
page there. That's for sure, my friend.
time. There is no time. Time doesn't exist there. Right?
It doesn't.
That's.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not required because we don't. The only thing that's measuring time is actually the
I
physical.
mean, when I made it there, it was like in a snap of a second. Boom! Next thing I'm there, and it's like I'd never left there. I'd always been there, right? And they told me I had to go back, and I didn't want to come back. They pointed down, said my body was okay. You got to go back. And all they really wanted to know is if I had any regret, right? And I was 19 years old, and I didn't really have any regret. And they said I hadn't learned in this lifetime what I'm supposed to learn. Go back.
Wow.
And boom! Next thing I know, I'm back in my car.
So you think you've learned it now?
I'm 67, and I've survived this very traumatic lifestyle. Um, you know,
And now you're building something.
I'm I've been given this opportunity to make amends and do some good for people. That's part of building Ground Zero Plus, right?
Hmm.
Making amends for my past behavior. Because I used to, if I was in your town or city was in danger.
Yeah. Right.
Uh,
You're on a list.
there's many little towns in the Midwest where I supplied drugs to their high school people and their college age kids. And, I was a young guy too. I was in my 20s, but I was a drug dealer, and I wasn't very good at it because I was a drug addict at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
You're not supposed to smoke your own stash, man.
no. And my big dealer, if he knew I was using, he'd kill me. So I had to look better than I was. Right? I always wore suits, right? Ties, suits. I looked like a businessman, or I'd go hang out in where the prosecuting attorneys hang out in their bar and drink with them. Right? Chit chat them up.
Doing some
And,
reconnaissance.
yeah, I'd hide in plain sight, is what I called it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I would deal drugs right in front of people, and they wouldn't know I was dealing drugs.
Okay, let's get into groundzeroplus.com.
Yeah,
Like
so
at
Ground Zero.
the website.
Right. So the problems that Ground Zero's had the plus, and Clyde has had a few websites in the past, right? We know.
Okay.
And but the problem they always had is they never had full control about anything. And now we have complete control of everything, and no one can mess with it. It's a private server equipment. The actual hardware is we lease it from a company who does this for a living. They're quite big and quite good. It's a company out of France, and the last person, one of the people that have been hosted by these people was Julian Assange. WikiLeaks has been involved with these folks. All kinds of white hat hackery going on over there.
Wow.
But the owner of this company was put on the MI6 watch list.
Oh, that's good news.
So, yeah. So,
You heard it here
it's-
first, folks.
So, like, you couldn't go to our hosting company and tell them to shut us down. You couldn't do it because I am the hosting company.
Wow. Okay, so that's
too-
good.
So, when it comes to our content, which is the pride and joy of Clyde Lewis, is his content,
Hmm.
and it's the most valued thing we have, and it's protected now, and it's in an environment that nobody can mess around with it. Right? They can't call up because Clyde says something they don't like, just shut it off on him out of spite, right?
Right. And so, do you think that like provides? I mean, I'm sure it does. I can already see how it might do that,
Yeah,
but
it
like it
does.
provides some kind of a confidence in like the people who are content creators on Ground Zero
Yeah,
Plus have
yeah.
the
It's like we're streaming.
confidence
Yes,
that they
the
can say
streaming.
whatever they want and it's not
Yeah,
going to
the
get
streaming.
taken down.
That's really important when you're doing video stuff, right? Like on YouTube, if you say the words COVID and
Exactly.
other stuff, they will take stream down. On our streaming software, you can say whatever you want, and I'm not going to censor you. There's only a couple of things that I will stop if I ever see it, and I'll report it to the police. And of course that would be any kind of child
Yeah,
pornography,
I was gonna guess like
abuse,
common sense things like that,
yeah,
and yeah,
terrorism, shit like that.
right,
But if you're on the other side of politics, you want to come over here, speak your piece, come on over. You know, let's hear it. And I believe in. I like to listen to these guys because I want to hear how crazy they are, right?
right. Like
So
you want to try to get into the
it's
head,
really all this world is right now to me is entertainment until my time comes
right?
to go. It's just entertainment for me.
And
Um,
I think like when it comes to a debate, you do want to get into the head of your opponent or adversary, whatever you want to call it, someone who has a different point of view, because you want to try to understand where they're coming from. And if you just censor them, how are you going to do that?
yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
So okay, so everything on Ground Zero, the hosts,
Yeah. So
including
what we're doing now is we're um, working on it. We're just keep adding posts as we go along. We've had a couple ladies join us in the last few weeks. Everyone knows Tally, and then we got Lynn joined us, and they very spiritual in nature. Great shows. Um,
cool. Yeah,
I
that's
think I'll be on with Tally in a couple weeks. I think, and
awesome.
I think Lynn, maybe I'll be on with Lynn soon. I don't know, but they're going to be a good addition to the community. And then we're also finishing up the video stuff, so we'll have that going on soon. We're also going to have maybe a chat room replacement, and it's going to be a social media feed. It's like having a Facebook clone, right?
Okay.
Or a Discord clone, and it'll be our own private social media. So it's not being data mined, it's not being censored, it's not being throttled.
Right,
It's just there.
it's kind of like on the side of the internet.
Yeah, and it's for just ground zero people.
That'd be really cool, actually.
Yeah, and it's like a chat room but on steroids, right? And then we're also going to have our own AI, um, which is going to be our own learning LLM type thing, where we can actually teach it. We can have it. We can put the Ground Zero website in there, and it can scrape every word, everything that's ever been put in there, and then we can use the Ground Zero's memory bank to, if you want to call it that, as a research vessel, right? Or to search things, or to look up different. Like if we want to learn how many times Clyde has talked on a certain topic, we can do that, and it'll pull up all the shows. That kind
Yeah,
of thing.
you know what would be that might be dangerous for some of the drinking games I've noticed that Clyde has in his chat room, where
Yeah,
where apparently there's like a list of things that he'll say, and when he says them, you're supposed to take a drink. So if
yeah.
someone gets their hands on that AI, things could get a bit messy.
Yeah, there are a lot of drunk people everywhere.
Right.
And then we're also going to be doing this AI thing to where we're going to attach like a library to it. The library, we hope to have 20, 30,000 documents in there, different files, different things like that that have been harvested over the years by some friends of ours.
Cool.
And It's like walking into a digital library. You can walk up to a topic, open the drawer. In that drawer will be subtopics, and pull one of those out, and there'll be different stories for each one of those subtopics. That
Wow.
kind of thing.
Like a library.
Kind of like a digital library. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Can we go back to the video?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk on Ground Zero Plus in many of the chat rooms about video feed coming soon.
Yes.
What kind of timeline are we looking at here? And also, what does it take for like, why is it like such a huge step for a website to have a live video feed?
Okay. Well, for in the media world, if you're a broadcasting company or you're a media personality like Tucker Carlson, you're going to have a video output of some kind, and because it's about consumption. How do people consume the internet, right? The videos have a higher rate of consumption than does just pictures or images or text, blocks of text. That's why TikTok is so valuable, is because it's all about instant gratification with video, right? Boom, boom. That's like a dopamine shot on steroids over there at TikTok. That's what TikTok works, right?
Right.
It provides such fast input and output that people's brains being stimulated without them knowing it. Right?
I've seen statistics that like people that have podcasts on YouTube, especially, that when they have a live video feed, even if it's just video feed of the people's faces talking, it gets like 80% more views.
Yes. Yes. Now, and Google itself likes it because they own YouTube. Right? If you put a YouTube video on the front page of your website, you're going to get more rating from Google for when they rate your website, and just the way it is. So when you think about streaming, then you think about YouTube, Twitch, all these other types of things, and you have to always agree to terms and agreements, terms and conditions,
which no one reads.
Nobody reads that shit, and what generally means if you say something they don't like, they can shut you down.
Yeah, it's kind of like arguing with a woman. You just click on the accept button and you don't read anything.
If you want to speak the truth about gender identity, they're going to shut you down, right? Or
exactly.
You want to talk about the problems with people moving from one country to another, right? Problems that can happen. So, or if remember, I live in a country probably where I can go on Facebook and say something and have the police be knocking on my door in half an hour.
I was gonna ask you about that, man. I've heard like so many stories of people getting arrested in your neck of the woods for literally just liking a post.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could just like a post and get arrested. Is that real? 12,000 people?
Yeah.
That's insane. I have relatives that live there.
This is the kind of shit that Trump's trying to stop.
I hope so.
Yeah, he's trying to stop this kind of stuff because this is socialism. They talk about fascism. Most people in America don't even know what it means. Right? They don't know what it means that they're even protesting.
Right.
They just go out there to be a bitch.
And some of them are paid too. Like some of them are actually just getting paid.
Yeah, they're the worst. They're the worst of them. Right? They're the worst ones because I know who's paying them. It's George Soros.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. They don't even know what they're getting the money for, but they don't care because everybody's so broke.
If there is a true Dr. Evil in the world, it's George Soros.
Yeah, probably.
He's one of them.
Probably.
Him and old Schwabi.
So when you move a site or a platform over to something that has video, are there like flaming hoops you have to jump through, or?
Well, the Ground Zero Plus itself is built in a structure. The way I can understand it, it's like at different levels, and we have different servers do different things. And what our architect did, Simon, he took what me and Adam do by building the actual instant. We call it an instance, right?
Okay.
The WordPress. The WordPress is the instance, the website itself, and that instance gets put into the equipment, and the equipment is programmed to do certain things. So inside that equipment, we've got like 4 22 terabyte servers. We've got, and it directs certain capabilities to certain areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got so much going to email, so much going to the, but when you see Ground Zero Plus at home, what you're actually seeing is a copy of the website coming from a data center. And we transmit to data centers all around the world, and then they transmit to you, right?
Interesting.
That's what the cloud means, being in the cloud, right? So we're in the cloud, and then we also have a server for backups. But see, the problem when you do video, you have to store it, and storage costs tons of money, right?
And video takes up a lot of storage, doesn't it?
Yeah. Right now we're at about $1,100 a month for the cost of running Ground Zero.
Wow. Just for storage?
Just for everything.
Okay.
Right. And because we have the radio show that goes out on the radio, internet radio. That's a cost. We've got the Zoom. We've got the transfer file stuff. I mean, it goes on and on and on. The kind of expense we have. But again, that's the stuff that we never had control of before.
Right.
Now we have complete 100% control. And we've got accountability down to the penny, right? And the only problem we have is how do we replace me when I die? That's it.
Not to put too far
before I die, then Ground Zero will continue on in good hands. But I wake up in the morning at 6:30 and I post the night's show from the night before. And I'm usually awake at 3 a.m. right when the show goes live, and then I'll fall asleep during the show, wake up at 6:30, post it, go back to bed, wake up at about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, look at the emails, do all kinds of other stuff.
So you do sleep.
Adam and I work all day long. Adam and I have been working the last couple of months on videos and stuff that we're getting ready to do a big marketing thing on TikTok. And you've seen some of the advertisements we put on the website on the sidebars now. They're talking videos.
Oh,
the new sponsors we have, yeah.
Yeah, those are cool.
And then we also do some boosting advertising on Facebook with some of our talking videos. And they're mainly characters that we're developing, right? These are like Mothman, the alien priest, right?
Yeah, they're really, really cool.
Father Gray. Father Gray is his name. And
created with AI, too.
People talk about aliens being demons. Well, what's a demon doing working for the clergy, right?
Right.
Then we have Medusa, Bigfoot guy. His name is Hank Ridges. Yes.
Yeah, no, some of those are really, really well done. They're kind of tongue in cheek at the same time. Like people, you're not gonna look at these things and be like, "Is that AI?" You're gonna be like, "That's AI," but it's done in a good way.
We're using 5 different AIs to make that one thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's got to be an easier way to do that.
No.
Come on.
Because when you're doing it, well, Polly, when you do AI, most of the time, most people, they allow the AI to give them what the AI thinks it wants, and it spits out whatever it puts up on the screen. And you go, "Oh, that's cool." Well, we're actually creating images first, then making them talk next, and then putting them into another AI to make the video, right? So it's like it takes a step-by-step process to put in what you really want. That's what you see there. There's everything that we want in it.
Right.
No AI. And it might take us 5 or 6 hours just to do one video, a 5-second video.
You know what? I speak about AI a lot on this show, and you're just providing proof, at least for me, and hopefully some of the listeners, that AI can be used for cool things, and you can build stuff.
Internet, since they started the internet, there was a good side and a bad side.
Yep.
Right? It's like biting the apple out of from the tree of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's there's a good side and a bad side. Now, even with Ground Zero Plus and all our styling and all our designing and all our stuff that we do, we used AI. Now, for Simon's part, he uses a coder's software, a code writer's AI,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it actually does what we want it. It actually performs the programming of the machines, right?
Right.
The actual AI does it. We just watch it do it. We just tell the AI what to do. And then a lot of our graphics and a lot of our artwork is AI generated, and we just kind of have a different way of telling it how to produce the images we want.
Exactly. It's all about how you use the tools, not what you do. Like
Yeah,
not necessarily what you do with them, more how you
yeah,
use them. Because
yeah. I
there's gonna
mean,
be
I'm
people
sure
that
when
use
the
this for
yeah,
there's gonna be people
I'm-
to use this for really convincing scam sites.
yeah.
That
I bet when the guy invented the very first candle, some some lady looked at it and went, it was a good side and a bad side.
right.
And then,
Good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, that's the point I was
but
trying to make too. Actually, so yeah.
I have a way of making points, don't I?
Awesome.
But the we the people that are going to be in front of everything in the future are going to be the people that are working on with these products now,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're not waiting for 5 years till everybody comes up with apps and all kinds of other cool AI stuff. We're actually jumping in the pool now and getting dirty, right, with it. And
Before it gets
spending
too
a lot of time,
regulated.
a lot of equity, a lot of time in this thing, right? A lot of hours in this thing.
And eventually it's going to
Right.
become regulated to the point where you're going to just have to pay more money to use it. So,
Well, there might be a time in the future where I can just tell the AI to do what I do, right?
definitely,
And it was do what I do.
that's probably already available. They have AI agents now
AI agents, yeah,
that can do
yeah,
stuff that's off the charts. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
it's um they're not free though. I mean, it's not like you're replacing a worker because you still have to pay for it. So,
yeah. Well, there's some personality that AI can't reproduce. It can't.
I think so too.
And,
So,
it's impossible for it. It doesn't have emotion.
it's interesting.
Right?
Okay, what do you think about this? I mentioned this is another new theory I'm working on. I see this thing coming with AI, and that you remember how when organic food first came out,
Yeah.
AI is gonna AI is gonna like I guess produce a market that's gonna be like instead of organic food, it's gonna be organic
Organic
content.
AI. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's gonna be, people are gonna pay more money to watch a real human speak than
Yeah.
oh that's just an AI. I'm not paying for that.
They're paying for AIs right now that talk real sexy to you, right?
Yeah, lots of people do. Yeah,
It-
some people commit suicide because their AI told them to.
yeah, yeah, that's a problem. Some of these people are falling into relationships with AI and making it personal. So that's a problem, right? Because
It's a huge problem.
you
It
know,
well, it's huge now. Wait, just wait till they get the haptic feedback bodysuits.
yeah,
People aren't going to leave their houses.
yeah, you'll be laying in bed with a box of Twinkies for like 2 weeks. They'll find you dead
Ex-
after your neighbor
exactly,
smells you from the doorway.
exactly. That's not a good way to use AI. Um, so gratefully that won't be utilized in groundzeroplus.com because I for some reason I don't eat a lot of junk food when I listen to Ground Zero. Um,
Yeah.
how do you
Now,
go about getting and choose like who chooses? How do you find new talent to come on the network?
kind of like the same way I found you, right? Just listen to other people, and um, Ron knows most of everyone on there. In fact, he knows everybody on there. And then you're one of the only people they didn't know, right? but now they
Yeah,
know who you are.
I should say this to anybody listening.
But it's kind of like a,
I never
it's
heard of
kind of like
Clyde
it has
Lewis until I met you.
the whole thing has a feeling of my own personality. What I spend my time listening to is what you're looking at. Right? If there was no Ground Zero, you'd be the playlist on Ground Zero would be what I'd be personally listening to every day,
Right.
and that kind of thing. That's the way I have to think about it because I have to think about what it's like for you to sit at home or wherever you are, like I was in a crack house with a little AM/FM radio in my ear, right? Um, you have to think about what it is for those people out there listening to Ground Zero to what are they what's going to give them the best experience, right? And so I think about that quite a lot. In fact, that's probably what I think about the most, right?
Right.
I think about it greatly, like President Trump would say, bigly.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it that you what like um when you're listening to something that's just randomly on the internet, what is it that attracts your attention to personalities? What is it about the personalities that
Well,
keeps you
the
listening, keeps you going back?
probably the spark of life inside of something that I recognize on a non-physical level, right? Maybe it's like they trigger something, right?
That's an interesting answer. The spark, that twinkle, like you can hear a twinkle.
Yeah, I mean, it's when your intuition will never lie to you. So if you come to rely on your intuition for almost everything, you base your decisions on not how you feel, but what you think about the situation, right? And it's normally a good thing because your mind's going to tell you a lot of things ahead of time. If you're in a safe place, if the person's warm, inviting, and all these other sub signals that you consciously don't recognize, but your brain does.
Mm-hmm.
And it lets you know that you're in a safe zone kind of thing, right?
So it's not really so much about the topic of the things they're talking about. It's more of the vibe they're giving off during the talking.
Yeah, it's how you receive it, right? And
Interesting.
how it makes you feel, how it makes you think, right? Because remember what they're using the media for is to brainwash, but influence people.
Yep.
And they do it on a sub level of consciousness that people don't recognize. Right? That's how advertising works.
Exactly. And marketing and all that stuff. They have that down to a science.
Yeah. So I use some of the same stuff on the Ground Zero website: the coloring, the positioning, some of the size of the text, the amount of content in a paragraph, ease of use, that kind of thing.
Right. And so, okay, can we get into like something a bit more specific here just for a few minutes? What kind of daily maintenance or like updates do you have to do? Like I know Clyde does a show like Monday to Friday, and then there's other people that do shows different times of the week for different amounts of time. And
Yeah.
so like do you have to program that every day? Like every day's lineup you have to get up and like put in the whatever's being played that day?
I try to do it ahead of time, but there's days where I have to adjust things. Sometimes the shows are a little different times. I have to add different music in, do like the ad breaks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a constant 24-hour day job, right? And, if something goes wrong, I have to be able to fix it right away.
Right.
So that kind of thing.
So, okay, let's say something goes wrong. Do you get like a notification, or do you just have to be like happen to be there to see it go wrong?
The servers we have protection on, and we also have notifications on them. We have tools that are actually monitoring the website, right?
Okay.
And if they see something catastrophic, they'll send us alerts. And most of the time, it's just stupid stuff, right? We've only had, well, nobody's seen it. We've only had one incident since we've been operating that we had trouble with, but nobody saw it because what you look at home is a cache version of the website.
Right.
So, um, no, they didn't ever see the problem that we had, but it was just a architectural problem that we had to reconfigure some things to make it work right. So,
Right. So it wasn't like you were being hacked or anything like that, right?
no, no, we're unhackable.
Unhackable. So how much?
They can try hack it.
So that, I mean, like, you sound pretty confident about that. I mean, how much of your resources goes into cybersecurity?
At the company we're at, quite a bit. That's kind of like what they do. They provide secure server platforms. That's one of their selling points, right?
Right.
Security.
Okay.
And ours is nested inside this company that protects you. Right?
Okay. So Ground Zero relies on a like the I guess what you could say is a third party security, but that's one of their selling points for people to be on their
That's one of
servers.
the features that why corporations would use this company.
Right.
And it's
That's actually going to be, in my opinion, a trend going forward with a lot of companies offering these kinds of
yeah.
services. Is the cybersecurity is
In
going to be
order
built in?
in order to be fully autonomous, you need to have it. Right?
Yep, it's 100% really important,
Without
especially.
it, somebody can pull. Yeah, without it, somebody can pull your strings.
Well, you're. I mean, you got to think about it. Like GroundZeroPlus.com it's like a professional website, and people sign up and give their payment information, and if that's
Yeah,
not secure,
yeah,
people are going to have a problem with that.
yeah.
So
It's
it
protected, and we're
I
fully
mean,
compliant with all the different rules and regulations around the world.
right on.
Here in Europe, we have the GDPR.
Cool. It's just
California has different rules. There's all kinds of different
it's another
data
reason.
privacy rules. Right?
Another reason to sign up for GroundZeroPlus.com. Get in the chat room in the greenhouse. Chilling over here in the greenhouse. You're in the greenhouse, right, Chris? I can see you
Yeah.
in there. We got most of the regulars are in here. We're gonna shout them out in about 20 minutes. Before we do that, I do have some because we're both born in Scotland. I have the same birth certificate as you. It's printed differently. My name is the same, but it's
Yeah.
printed not all in capitals. And I can go back there whenever I want because the same thing would happen if you type my name into the computer. Be like, yep,
Yeah.
citizen, still citizen.
Oh.
And I've thought about it, but I mean, some of the stuff,
Well, when you
I'd
get
be
old and
arrested by
you
now.
get old and decrepit, Paul, you come over here and just come live in a rest home.
Oh yeah,
Take care.
right on. But as long as I don't get arrested for making a stupid post.
Yeah, I'll be dying. This is probably the little space right here I live in right now is where I'm going to die, probably.
Oh no.
So
Well,
I'm good with it.
when you get the video up and running, we could have actually been showing people that, right? But it's not up yet, right?
No, it'll be a couple weeks.
A
probably.
couple weeks. Okay, cool.
We only got 2 minutes left. Look at that. The time's gone. No, we got an hour left. I'm
Yeah, we
sorry.
got an hour left. Don't worry. We're gonna shout out the greenhouse
thought
at
it was-
4:20.
I thought it was
And
2 hours. I'm sorry, everyone.
I got. Oh, you do you need to leave?
No, I'm not going nowhere.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Because we don't want you to leave. We're not done with you yet at the greenhouse, Chris. So what we are gonna do is indulge in our Scottish heritage with some Scottish music from some bands you might find familiar, but who
You
knows,
made me start dancing.
right? This is the Polynation broadcast, GroundZeroPlus.com, chilling with my best bud, Chris, architect of the GroundZeroPlus.com website. If you're not a member, get on over here. It's pretty cool. You'll see. And if you don't want to become a member, you can still come over here and check it out and listen for free. Here's In a Big Country by Big Country, Scottish band. It's that time, folks. 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time. We're live every weekend, 2 to 5 p.m. over here on GroundZeroPlus.com. And what I like to do at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time, that is shout out the chat room over here at GroundZeroPlus.com. I'm sitting here with the architect of the chat room, Chris France. He's in the chat room. And also, who else we got in here in the greenhouse? We got Aniki's in here. Aniki's going to be on the show next week, and we're going to try and scare the shit out of each other, and that's going to be really fun. Aniki knows serial killers, so she's scary sometimes. She's scared. She scared me the last time she was on. Mike Mont is in here also. He'll be on soon. Mike, check your teams soon, bro. We got to talk about some stuff, especially Thanksgiving coming up. I think we could get into a good conversation. We got Sonny in here. We got Datsun Focus in here. We got Dez in here. We got Mitch Durbin, Taco Cat, the human palindrome. We have Mad Catter, and Rich Smith is in here. And I'd like to get Rich on the show as well to talk about something that I'll keep a secret for now. Because I like perspectives and, just mix it up a little bit. And so thank you all in the greenhouse for listening. We're chilling here with Chris France. You might know him as Ground Zero Plus UK in the chat room. Or what else Chris from the UK in the chat room. He goes by many names, many handles. I get it.
I've been called many things.
Yes. You've been called worse, that's for sure. So we're chatting, and, a lot of stuff I hope that people realize what goes behind running a site like this and getting everything working and getting all the moving pieces oiled up and just being efficient with it. One thing I do want to bring up... Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I know nothing. First of all, I knew nothing about Clyde Lewis until I met you. And then after I met you, I don't know, I think it's been at least 5 years. But either way, in meeting... It sure did, man. In meeting you... I don't know how to explain this, but let's just say, to be as vague as possible, I'm sort of helping out a little bit in the maintenance or posting of Ground Zero, and through that, you've taught me so many things about, like, I'm sure if I hang around you another 2 or 3 years, I'm going to know how to build my own website. And that's why I sometimes refer to you as Sensei.
You might be the guy who takes over. I don't know.
Well, who knows?
You're in the running, right?
It's not that it's a competition. I certainly don't see myself as anything like that. But there is some really interesting things about how these things work that goes on behind the scenes that people just don't realize. Like, it takes time. Someone has to sit down and do these things, or else when you go to the site the next day, it's not going to be updated.
It's a buttload of button pushing.
It's a lot of tedious stuff. Yeah, exactly. A lot of tedious stuff. And you've been teaching me how to get that stuff off of your plate.
I'm teaching how to be tedious.
Yes, exactly. And I'm more than happy to take stuff off your plate. So I just want to extend my gratitude and thanks for you taking me kind of under your wing, so to speak, and showing me the ropes. Because I think you're more an effective teacher than somebody who would be being paid, 80, 90 grand a year to teach a class on how to build a website. You're just, to me, it reminds me of Karate Kid. Like, the way that I'm being taught by you, and you're a very good teacher, by the way, is kind of like the whole wax on, wax off thing. Like, I don't really know what it is I'm being taught until I figure it out. And then once something comes at you from that angle, you're just reacting to it. And it's like, now the stuff you've taught me so far is pretty much just like second nature to me now. So that I appreciate the way that you're going about teaching me for that.
It sounds like you need more teaching.
I was just getting to that. I was just gonna say I'm getting a little bit bored though.
It's
So
pretty boring.
as far as okay, wait.
I'll
Let me
teach you
just.
how to do a blog. I'll teach you how to do a blog next,
Oh no.
like a news report.
Okay. Okay. We'll do that. Don't explode my mind yet. Cuz it's going all over the place. Um there's one or two things that I wanted to ask before we've only got about 25 minutes left. Um and it's about music.
Actually, we have as long as you need because I can control the radio station.
I know, so can I. So can I. No,
Isn't it cool that we can control the frequency?
I know. We can just say,
You
you know
set the
what?
Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
We
you know what?
control the frequency.
You're not coming on to it. You're not coming on until we say we're coming on. No, I'm just kidding, folks. I would never get that devious. What are you talking about? Um, but music, okay? Because music is, I don't know why, because we like the same music. A lot of the music that, I mean, I'm sure that's why you're listening to the show a lot of times, is because the music I play. What is it about? I mean, and there's so many other similarities. Like the story about your mother. Like without getting too much into my own personal life, the way your relationship with your mother is very similar to the way that I related to my mother.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of similarities, and they're not just like coincidental similarities. Why do people like us like the same kind of music? What
I think
do you
it's the
think's
way that
going on there?
the way that music has a capacity to influence a person, a human spirit, right? A spirit.
Hmm.
Music has a connection to it beyond words. Right? It's frequency and vibration and vibrational energy, that kind of thing.
And have you ever sent a song to somebody instead of explaining yourself?
Kinda.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you want to,
I've used music to explain myself. Right?
yeah, right. So
Play a
like,
song that's special for me for somebody. Let them hear it.
do you think that like, do you think that's a form of encryption? Like if you sent that song to somebody
Kinda.
else, they wouldn't get it, right?
It's we all have our own perceptions, right? Everybody's perception's different, so we're just giving them an opportunity to perceive the same thing we have.
Right.
Right?
And
We want them to feel
music
the same
does
thing
that.
we just feel.
Music does that better, I think, more efficiently than
Yeah.
trying to explain yourself sometimes.
It's kind of like having someone walk up to you at a bar and ask you to dance. Do you say yes or do you say no?
Right. That's interesting that you
And
said that, because that my next question was, anybody who's not in the greenhouse chat will have to just come in here and trust me when I say this, but the female audience is wondering if there's a lady in your life.
No, no, not at all.
Uh-oh.
I
Expect
don't
some
think there's
DMs,
one out
dude.
there.
Expect some
there's
DMs
women all
now. You're going to get flooded with DMs. Dude, I wasn't kidding when I said Chris France is a sharp-dressed man. Wait till you see his Facebook page. Some of the photographs. I mean, even Aniki made a gif of you.
Yeah.
You're a
She's
good-looking
really
dude.
good. I like that.
Also,
Yeah, me and my friend Martin, we go out and drive around. He lives over in Exeter now. He used to live over here, and we'd go driving around, fly our drones all over the place, and
Oh,
take
right on.
pictures and stuff.
right on.
And then I go to a lot of music events. And,
Well, speaking of taking pictures, that is
I'm a little
actually
bit of a celebrity in town because I'm the only cowboy around here.
that reminds me. You've got some pretty impressive photographic gear. I happen to follow you on Facebook as well. Some of the you're into photography just like I am.
Yeah, I'm good at it, I think.
You're very
Something
good at it.
that most people ask me if I'm a professional. I have some work that's in like a couple restaurants in town that up on their walls they have big screen TVs, and my drone videos are playing in there.
Right on.
Um,
So
but
you
I
have
don't do anything. I don't video record bands. I do it all for myself, right?
Right.
I've got lots of video and music that I record for myself.
And so, speaking of drone footage, uh, what kind of drone do you have? Like, as a photographer, I'm really curious as to what kind of drone gear you got.
I got three of them. I got a Air 2, excuse me, an Air 3, and I've got a Mini Pro 5, new one, and I've got a old a Neo, Neo. It's a little teeny thing.
Okay. Did it take you long to learn how to fly them?
No, it's just like how long did it take you to ride a skateboard?
I didn't.
How about a bicycle?
A
You just
bicycle,
get
yeah,
on,
a
you just get on it. The
couple
way you
days.
learn it, you just do it.
Right. Yeah.
It's you can't lose these things because they have so many safety features. That if they lose signal or the battery gets low, it just automatically comes back. Right.
That's cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff with them today. They're very.
I've seen
But
some of your drone footage.
They're not cheap. They're. You know what my the way I think about these things is the King Charles. He's the one that takes care of me. Right?
Okay.
I live on benefit. Right, I'm on a disability benefit, and I'm on I was on a pension credit, but I'm probably going to lose that because of the work I do on Ground Zero counts as a form of income.
Right.
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 So I have to consider all that, but I think I just lost 1,600 pounds a month this month. I might be losing it, so don't know. But it's okay. I mean, I make enough on the others. I make like 2 grand a month just sitting here doing nothing. Right.
That's pretty cool. That sounds like CBDC or whatever it is that's coming out.
And that's the other thing about Ground Zero. It didn't come to me as a way of me needing to do business or wanting to do business. It
Of
was
course, yeah.
a collaboration of and the consideration of doing something so good that this kind of opportunity. I've spent all my life, and this is the first time I've had this kind of opportunity, right? And it's a big deal in my life, right?
Yeah, well, it's a big deal in mine too, for sure.
And
Because if it
I
wasn't for
hope,
knowing you, I wouldn't. Polynation Broadcast wouldn't even be broadcasting right now. I mean, like, I would have never even thought that I would be doing anything close to this 5 years ago. Like, I was just in the chat room hanging out with people, and now all of a sudden, here I am in the greenhouse, chatting to the dude who's like the architect of GroundZeroPlus.com, talking about how he got there. And turns out that we have so much in common that it's ridiculous. I mean, like, not just like life story, but like musical taste and just the way we think. So it's been like a really probably one of the easiest interviews I've ever had to do. You've been such a great guest, Chris, and I can't thank you for enough for the work.
Well, I kind of look at this place like an extension of my home, right? It's like
And it feels that way. It really does.
I've got all this stuff, and I kind of need to use this place as a way of therapy kind of stuff. To me, it's kind of therapeutic.
I think a lot of
Because
people would agree with you, members.
in order to recover from drugs and alcohol, I'll tell you a secret. You need to have peace in your heart, right?
Hmm.
In here. And then you also need to have silence in your mind, right? Your mind has to be quiet. And when you can take, I took a shit life, just garbage life, right? And now I'm doing stuff that only dreams are made out of. This is the kind of work and how important Ground Zero has been in my life, and I know that Ground Zero has been important in other people's lives.
It has.
Because when you listen to a show like Clyde's, what you do is you have almost an emotional attachment to it, right? And when you don't hear it, like people that don't listen to Ground Zero and they miss a day or miss 2 days, they feel it, right? They actually, it bothers them sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that they miss out on listening to one of the shows. And that's why becoming a member of Ground Zero is so important, that you can listen at your own time, right?
Yep.
You know,
And you're also
especially
supporting. You're supporting
you can go out on you can go out on Fridays nights now, right? Because you don't have to stay home and listen to Ground Zero.
exactly.
You can listen to it late night when you come home at 1, 2 o'clock drunk.
Oh, dude, remember that? Remember that analogy you had about like time you could be spending with your wife? Do you, do you want to just like before we wrap this up, I think that would be like a very like lighthearted way to wrap up the value of being a member on Ground Zero Plus. And maybe it's from a male perspective, but I think it's really funny and I think people should hear it.
Yeah, what's that? Which one? About
You
my
might,
wife?
there's this analogy you had that like instead of listening to all the ads on Ground Zero Plus, that's time you could be spent boning your wife.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you know, like on the weekends, like Friday night, you know, you want to go out on a date. You haven't been on a date for months, and you've had arguments about listening to Ground Zero, right? And in fact, your life is kind of centered around your time. It's like Ground Zero's on tonight, I got to be there, and then it's kind of ruined your relationship with your husband or your wife. Well, now we have the answer to that, and that's groundzeroplus.com. You become a full access monthly member, only $9.99. And you too can save your marriage listening to Ground Zero Plus.
I love it. It's so because all that time that
It's a good commercial.
you could just like take all the commercials out of a Ground Zero Plus
Therapy.
episode.
We provide family therapy,
Yeah,
counseling.
and it
Come into our
just
chat room, and we'll give you some therapy in the chat room.
oh, there's tons of
Everybody-
therapy in the chat room too. Let me tell
People
you,
just love to give their therapy on people in the chat room.
Clyde's chat room is
How can I
off the
help you?
charts. If anybody listening that's not a member hasn't been in Clyde's chat room, you've got to go. You've got to go
Oh,
in there.
thanks.
Just
No, we
read,
wanna-
just read what people say, and you'll hopefully feel at home within a few
That's
minutes.
the primary number one. That's the primary number one feeling I want people to have when they're on Ground Zero Plus, is the feeling of connection and community, and that there's a place they can go where they're not alone.
Yeah,
right?
amen, amen.
The way a lot of like-minded people in here that think the same things and believe in the same things, and you know, it beats going to church and listening to how demons or angels are demons. And
Right, and we
Yeah.
like the same music, even some of us.
there's no such thing as dragons. I mean, what kind of bullshit is that? Of course, dragons are real.
Right? Yeah. What are you talking about? I just
They're on
smoked
my
one.
flag. My Scottish flag has it.
Yeah, the rampant lion. It's kind of a dragon.
Eric says we need a Ground Zero dating app.
A dating app. Boy, that's a great idea.
A Ground Zero Tinder.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I would probably hog all the people on that. Nobody. I would match with everybody, but nobody would match with everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
kidding.
the one with the split personalities.
Yeah, we could cause some trouble with a Ground Zero dating app for sure. Chris, dude, it's been so awesome having you on the show today. I can't thank you enough for coming on after like barely any notice too. So thanks for that. And where can people find your photography work?
You can go to the bottom of groundzeroplus.com, I think. Let's see. And if you let's see if this one will go to it. Let me see. Hold on. Nah, it doesn't do it. It's Chris France on Facebook.
Yeah.
CHRIS, and then FRANCE, just like the country.
And go
But I'm the Texas. I'm the
Also-
Texas Colorado cowboy that was born in Scotland.
you also run the Ground Zero Plus Facebook page as well?
You can message me on the Ground Zero Plus Facebook page.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
You can send me an email from the contact page on the website. You can email me at chris@groundzeroplus.com.
Right on.
And yeah.
See, Chris is an open book, folks. Like, he's just
you
a
can call anytime, night or day, 24/7.
He'll take all your emails, all your calls. Like, he's really an open book and one of the nicest people and one of my best friends. And again, Chris, thank you so much for joining us in the greenhouse.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
And I got some tunes picked out that I think would be appropriate. There's another Scottish band in here, but also these tunes just remind me of you, dude. I don't know what it is about them. They just do. You do such great work, and we all at the greenhouse can't thank you enough, bro. So, hey, man, when there's updates and stuff like that, would you mind coming back on and sharing these updates?
Anytime you need me.
Awesome, dude. Great. Thanks again,
Always
Chris.
here.
We'll talk soon, bro.
You're not alone.
And you know what? This next song is it's called "Don't You Forget About Me" by Simple Minds, and I want everybody to not forget about Chris every time they come on to GroundZeroPlus.com. This is the Polynation broadcast, and
see you later, everybody.
yeah, cheers, Chris.